Régis, can we start with the end? Late goals. Is it a problem? I mean, it could become a thing, but I wonder as well if it's a thing that could be more mentally in the players, because it's happened 2 or 3 times now and could be an issue.
It's a problem because we lost many points. But football is always unpredictable. It's difficult to assess because it's always different situations, and probably right now it's difficult to find a common pattern between all the different goals we conceded in this part of the games. So the only point is the improvement of the team and the improvement of the players, and we can expect that with time we will solve that problem.
Are you surprised by it? Because at the start of the season, when you were very, very tight at the back, you were conceding very few goals.
Yeah.
And now you've got into this sort of rut of conceding these goals, conceding first.
Yeah, we didn't concede the first goal at during the first half, and we had many chances to score a goal at Stoke. We made the probably unusual mistakes during this game, and probably it's connected with the repetition of games. It's the case for us, it's the case for our opponents, but we are always focused on our performance. But you can watch the other team, and okay, sometimes they can make these mistakes as well. So the question now is to stay consistent, because this schedule is really massive, and we can understand that with fatigue, players are more vulnerable, and they can make a unusual mistake because of focus, because of concentration, because of tiredness. It's the case, and we have to assume that that fact, because it's tough for them, and we can't really blame these players because they are doing their best. I think they are always connected. They try to push until the limit, but they are humans, and with humans they are not machines. So we have to assume that it's possible to happen.
And you haven't got a great deal of time in between games at the minute to work on things, so it's very much sort of game to game and hope that lessons are learned, I suppose.
Yes, it's yes, but we can learn from games. So and when you are disappointed after a game, you know that you have another opportunity 2 days after to come back to a positive dynamic. So what you gain on one side, you lose on the other side. It's always like that, and it's more difficult to probably to improve, to analyze and improve. Then on the pitch we can work on specific areas. It's more difficult, and but it's the case for everyone.
After the game at Blackburn on Thursday, we talked about Mayenda and that miss, and how earlier in the season he had that miss at Cardiff, but learned from that, came back, but unfortunately on Sunday he missed that opportunity late on. Is it a point at which you have to make that decision about whether to leave him in the team for his own confidence, or do you take him out for a couple of games just to...
Resilience is a key word for footballers, for players who want to achieve high goals, and probably the two main positions on the pitch are the goalkeeper and the strikers. And when they miss chances or make a big mistake with a goal at the end, it's always easier for the observers to say, oh, they are struggling. But for the other players, if you watch their games, you will see that they make many mistakes, but the consequences are not the same. So it's always the case for everyone, and we have to assume that they are still very young, and we have to support them when it's difficult. And with time, I'm sure, because these players are not only Eliza, are talented, we have to support them. And they will make mistakes, but with mistakes they will learn. And if after a mistake you say, oh, it's finished for you, okay, but we can't work with young players. We have to work with experienced player, maybe 25, 26, 30, 31, and probably they are well-rounded, and they will make mistakes, but probably it's different. So with a young team, we have to assume that sometimes it's more difficult, and we know that it was good sometimes. Maybe the last games it wasn't so good, but we have to support them. It's always like that.
Do you have to put it into context to an extent as well, that this team is the youngest in the championship, and they're fourth in the table? I mean, that in its way tells us the story as well.
Exactly. So they were 16 last season. Now they are fourth. I think the gap is massive, and so we support them until now. We have to stay consistent as well, even when it's more difficult, because they did well so far, and appreciated their behaviors. I appreciated the support they had, even when it was difficult. When it was difficult, so keep going, just keep going.
The circumstances with Stoke were perhaps exceptional. You encountered it a couple of times this season where a manager's been sacked, and you get a completely different style of football from what you probably expected. That's probably not going to be the case against Sheffield United now. You played them recently. You should have got something from the game, I think, was probably the general appraisal of that afterwards. And another game, late goal, of course. But you shouldn't fear Sheffield United coming to Sunderland.
I think so. It was we had two different halves during this game, with the second half 10v10. But I think we deserved to win that game, and we were frustrated at the end of that game. We created many chances, and the late goal again. They won the game, but this experience was useful, and I think for this game, with probably a totally different scenario, because it's always different. We will have this experience in our background, and it will be useful, I think. Yeah.
Looking back at the end of the year now, and you're halfway through the season, coming in from France and looking at the way the championship is set up, is it any great surprise to you the top three teams are the three teams that got relegated from the Premier League? There is still that massive chasm between those teams that have got Premier League quality players and the rest, if you like.
Yeah, probably it's not a real surprise, especially with the repetition of games. And we can feel that the depth of the squad, with many experienced players, is very useful at that moment. But it's just a question of period. This period is very tough, especially, and for us, it's a question of consistency, and we can struggle for some periods, but we have to stay confident about our foundations, about our good qualities, and keep going, keep pushing around our foundations, because they were good. And even if it's more difficult for some periods, because it's like a long marathon with 46 games, sometimes you can struggle, but it's just a question of time, and you will refresh the team later, and with more players, 1, 2, 3, 4 more players they were injured. Maybe the transfer window will be useful for 2 or 3, for example. You can refresh the team, and with these foundations, the final sprint will be good, I'm sure.
You mentioned the transfer window opens tomorrow. In terms of, I mean, I'm sure you're not going to name names, but what's the sort of timetable for that? Are you expecting players to leave early? Because I think there probably are 2 or 3 players we think will probably move on. And likewise, we talked about getting hopefully a couple of strikers in and maybe 2 others. Is there a timetable for those players leaving and coming in?
When it's early, it's better, but not just about us. There's always a market, and we don't know really when it will happen exactly. It's better to make the right decision than an early decision. So the right decision will be a key, and I think if it's early, it's good for everyone. If it's not early, but it's a good decision at the end, it's better for the 4 months we'll have to play with them.
And is it better for you for several players to leave early, both for them and for the dynamic of the squad?
For some of them, probably yes, but it will be the same idea. We still need some players for the team. For January, we'll have many games again, and they are still connected with the team. And if they have an opportunity to leave, and it's good for us, it's the right timing for us as well. At that moment, yes, it's possible.
Familiar question of Mundell, Salis, how far away are they from? You mentioned the turn of the year.
Salis returned to training this week and trained probably this morning. So he was injured for 6 months. So he was really okay, but we need time to reach layer by layer the right level. But I hope it will be ready soon. And for Romain, we have to wait a little bit because it was an hamstring injury for an intense player, so a young player as well. So it's always a question of health, because we have to take care about our players. Okay, we want to win games, but at the same time we want to protect them because it's very important for the future.
Yep.
We're at the New Year point. It was an excellent start to the season. Some might feel slightly disappointed with the way things have gone more recently, but still fourth in the table. What's your appraisal at this point in the season as you finish the year?
Yes, this first part of the season was good, and we played so many games with different scenarios, with different style of play, different opponents, different situations. I think the team reacted well, and they learned a lot. And obviously, we can have some periods when we are more tired. Maybe the team is a little bit unbalanced because of injuries or suspensions, but they were still connected. They pushed until the end of every games, even if it was difficult. So the mindset was really good. So at the moment, I think we are in a good place. Yeah.
And what do you think of the amount of games over the Christmas New Year period? It's quite different to other leagues. And the 8 o'clock kick-off tomorrow night, any thoughts on that?
Maybe the game against Stoke was really tough because it was 2 days, 2 days and 2 days. So the tradition is a tradition, Boxing Day, 1st of January, but this game was very tough. And it's for the staff and for the club, for the fans, I think, for the observers, the journalists, I think this period is really good. But for the players, the risk of injuries is very high. So for them, it's the most difficult part because they can't recover properly. And the robustness is very important, but I have to repeat it. Humans are humans. They are vulnerable when they are tired. And this period for that is difficult, and probably the quality is not the same as well because they are tired. So probably if we make more mistakes, it's more opportunity to score, but it's not the reality of the game. I think so. It's a difficult period, but I think we have to manage it properly. Yeah.
8 o'clock tomorrow night. Does that give you any additional challenges?
5 or 6 hours more to recover. It's not a problem to play that time. It's not a problem for me. Maybe for the fans, but for us, not a problem.
Régis, you've spoken about the squad and that it's the youngest squad in the Championship. I just wonder, as you go into the transfer window, whether you'll be looking, not like you said 2, 3, 4 players potentially, but are you also going to be looking for real experience, a kind of backbone of experience to go in to mix with that very young talent that you've got?
I think the mix is good, the balance is good right now. So I'm not sure that we need just experience. We need quality, good quality, and we need specific position probably, and specific connection with that team, that story, that club, that environment, because it's really specific, and so we have to find players who fit with this story, I can say like that. So for the experience, I think we have a good balance. It's not my main concern, but about quality, I think we still need good quality to improve the team. Yeah.